Good morning, and welcome to the June 27th Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. We gather to be in relationship, in friendship, in community, devoted to helping one another grow in understanding and caring for all souls, seeking to learn from all persons, all peoples, and all of life, and to care for them. If you are newish here and would like to learn more about our tradition, please contact our office. There's contact information at the end of this YouTube Sunday video. Many thanks this morning to Susan, Allison, John, James, Sarah, and Paul for contributing to our service in production and in spirit. And special thanks to all of you who make us a blessed community. May our time together help us grow.
Good morning. I'm Susan Bernor, and I'm honored that Reverend Jack asked me to help with the service today. As Jack leaves our congregation on June 30th, I'll also be leaving my role as president of the board. It's been an honor to serve that role also. I thank everyone for their support. To begin our service, we light our chalice as a symbol of our search for truth and meaning, our shared communion, and our light of caring. Join, if you will, in the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
We open with words of invocation from mystic poet William Blake, novelist Toni Morrison, and Sufi poet Jalaluddin Rumi. Note, if you will, for what might touch you, and hold it within for a few peaceful breaths. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy of silken twine. Friends of mine, they gather me. The pieces I am, they gather them and give them back to me, all in right order. It's good, you know, when you've got someone who is a friend of your mind. Here is a community of spirit. Join it and feel delight, like walking in the noisy street and being the noise, like drinking all your passions and being beyond dignity. Close both eyes to see with the other eye. This we have now is not imagination. This is not grief or joy, not a judging state, not an elation or a sadness. Those come and go. This is the presence that doesn't. Know that presence. It is you and not you, and it's where you belong, even when lost, in a field beyond. Beyond any ideas of wrong and right, there is that field. I'll meet you there. I'll always be there with you. When your soul lies down in those grasses, the world is too full to talk of ideas. Even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. Now perhaps 3 gentle breaths. And now our opening hymn, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, 3 times through, and sing it in rounds if you like.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, causes no caravan of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Wanderer, yet again lover of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Causes no caravan of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Wanderer, yet again lover of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, yet again, yet again, yet again, come.
I imagine you all know the story of the queen who every morning asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And did you know that the king asked the exact same question every morning to the exact same mirror? So the mirror got a bit confused, and one day called the queen and king together and said, "Just what do you mean by fairest?" The king was a baseball fan, so he meant, who is best at playing inside the foul lines? The queen was a country fair fan, so she meant, who had the best holiday and holy day celebrations? Their daughter was an explorer, so she meant, who was the best traveler? Their son still believed in fairies. He was very young, so he meant, who did the best magic? Their dog believed in sharing treats, so it meant giving everybody an equal amount. Their cat believed in itself, so it meant, I don't really care, but am I the prettiest one of all? You can imagine what a confusing image that created for the mirror. I guess you can guess also what the mirror finally did. It reflected it all back at the family. Here's your answer, it told them. Start every morning from now on by reflecting on all of this. Who plays by the rules? Who celebrates most wholeheartedly? Who travels best? Who makes things turn good? Who treats everyone well? And who is most perfectly appealing? Then pay attention through the day to decide who is the fairest of them all. The real fairy magic will be when it's everyone. And, said the mirror, shining brightly, may it happen by the fair on this 4th of July. End of story. May you reflect on it. Now, a moment for any personal joys or concerns that we might want to share. You can share joys or concerns in the comment column during our YouTube video watching on the right of your YouTube screen. Or you can share during coffee hour after the service on Zoom. And you can also have a joy or concern shared aloud at this time during the service if you let me or our worship committee chair, Bill Motter, know of your joy or concern. Do let Bill know. My joy this morning is that my wife is my wife who made sure that my rainbow stole is on straight. And next Sunday is 4th of July. My hope is that it will be a fair day for all. And this week also is World UFO Day. For some, that means Unidentified Flying Object Day. For us, may it also mean Unwavering Fair Objectivity Day. I'll share some further joys during my sermon. Now, our first reading.
A reading from Transcendentalist Unitarian Walt Whitman. Facing west from California's shores, inquiring, tireless, seeking what is yet unfound, I, a child, very old, over waves towards the house of maternity, the land of migrations, look afar, look off the shores of my western sea, the circle almost circled, from starting westward from Hindustan, from the vales of Kashmir, from Asia, from the north, from the god, the sage, and the hero, from the south, from the flowery peninsulas and the spice islands, long having wandered since, round the earth having wandered, now I face home again, very pleased and joyous. But where is what I started for so long ago? And why is it not yet found?
So many things we can't control.
So many hurts that happen every day.
So many heartaches that pierce the soul.
So much pain that won't ever go away.
How do we make it better? How do we make it through? What can we do when there's nothing we can do? We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing. And maybe we'll find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. Nobody really wants to fight.
Nobody really wants to go to war.
If everyone wants to make things right,
then what are we always fighting for?
does nobody want to see it? Does nobody understand? The power to heal is right here in our hand. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing. And maybe we'll find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. And it's not enough to talk about it,
not enough to sing a song.
We must walk the walk about it. You and I, do or die. We've got to try to get along. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing. And maybe we'll find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. and maybe we'll find true peace of mind. If we always remember, we can be
A reading from poet Emily Dickinson, who was greatly influenced by Unitarian and Transcendentalist voices. I dwell in possibility, a fairer house than prose, more numerous of windows, superior for doors, of chambers as the cedars, impregnable of eye, and for an everlasting roof, the gambrels of the sky. Of visitors, the fairest. For occupation, this, the spreading wide my narrow hands to gather paradise.
This is my last Sunday as your pastor. I'd like to talk with you about last rites, Sufi style, out beyond ideas. I'm going to miss you all very much. Allison and I, and Allison's mom also, have loved being part of this congregation. Because of you, I feel St. Pete, along with Concord, Massachusetts, will be my hometown henceforth, and you will always be my home people. I have been encouraged, inspired, and blessed by you from the day you let me lead the Blessing of the Animals Sunday service in July of 2014. This past year, overall, has been difficult for almost everyone. Much harder to resolve the issues of the day under pandemic conditions, much harder than we would have expected otherwise. But though I, as an individual, have regrets for some things undone or unresolved or untried, you to me have been a congregation of heroic friends. From my perspective as UU St. Pete's pastor, your two most gracious developments were, one, the growth in the number and participation in our covenant groups, and two, the practice that the worship committee developed of asking members to give sermons on their spiritual journeys. The covenant groups have given each person an opportunity to develop connections and a feeling of familiarity that is the quite precious sense of knowing and being known. Each participant has been helped to grow because of supportive, safe, personal interchange. Not everyone has yet found their right group, but even that is a part of precious work in progress. And the spiritual journey sermons, I loved them. You often revealed your souls and spirits and also a further piece of the human spirit, the world spirit. And in doing so, you honored us as listeners and mentored us as companion learners on the journey. To learn of surviving and thriving throughout life, to understand and care more for what makes hearts soar and makes hearts soar. That, I believe, is church at its best. I hope there are lots more spiritual journey sermons from members going forward. I can imagine a year of sermons on people's favorite spiritual gifts from amongst the potentials covenanted to be developed in our UU principles. And another year of sermons on the spiritual potentials people find hardest to develop, And the same for the sources, the 6 sources, answering what sources of truth and meaning have been your soil and oxygen and light, and which have proved a different kind of manure. We humans have such a varied, unexpected mix of personality traits. Without growing awareness and sensitivity, such as your sharing and covenant groups and spiritual journey sermons, without such growth in understanding and caring, can there ever be fulfillment and peace? There has been so much else here for which I have been grateful and will be. Music and musicians and choirs, Sunday discussion groups, Wednesday religious study groups, meditation gatherings and retreats, our caring committee team, more recently our nascent earth-centered gatherings, the years of conscientious caring work by our office administrators, our committee chairs, our boards, the board officers keeping accounts and records, the work of our social justice committee and its crew, for which some are now being considered for sainthood. And even through the pandemic, the transformation in our buildings, beginning with our kitchen, so many hours of skill and devotion have been given, more than we'll ever realize, but which we'll enjoy into the future. And bless our children and families and wonderful teachers. May our appreciation for the power and possibility of spiritual development become such that both adult and children's religious studies and practices grow to make UU St. Pete a great example of what a congregation can do and be. Not magic, but magical and transformational possibilities, alchemy of the Spirit. And I am grateful that we are and have been here together for sacramental moments. The blessing of babies, Orion, Mateo, and Mercury. The weddings of Marcel and Kiwi, Midge and Bill, Janaea and Nick, Sabina and Jerry, Andy and Saba, John and Diana, Danny and Deb. The memorials, remembrances, and celebrations of life of Bill, Joan, John, Waldo and Barbara, Anna and Alberto, Rick, Dorothy, Gerald or Jerry, Jim B., Jim W., Candace, Tom, and Roy. I'm so grateful for the way we do things here. How we celebrate Christmas and Bodhi Day and Passover, and the seasons and histories and cultures and identities, and join the League of Women Voters in NAACP and Sierra Club and United Nations Association in their good works. So many things I wouldn't even know about or be enriched by if not for this tradition and its questing, sharing people. Now, if we can hire a drummer and 2 guitarists to join our pianist and choir, we'll be golden. As we should be, we are on a spiritual path from beginning to end. All of the above moments and events proving sacramental when we least expect, filling us with gracious strength. The readings sprinkled through today's service are a few of my favorites, pointing to some of the human's paths, spiritual heights, some of the human paths, spiritual heights. William Blake reminds me that joy and woe, both are necessary signs in human life, one for what is good for us and one for what is not. Toni Morrison reminds me how scattered our judgment would be if not for friends who gather us back into our right minds. Walt Whitman reminds me of humanity's migrations of body and spirit, too often ending short of home, but ever so hopeful. Emily Dickinson reminds me that this spirit quest migration often wanders because it is possibility itself that is the paradise we seek. W.E.B. Du Bois reminds me that the sun's everyday migration rides on an inextinguishable energy of encouragement and hope that resides ever in the world's children and in the child within each of us. And St. Teresa of Avila reminds me that darkness and fear during our forward inward journeys are mere hallucinations of our souls thirsting for home. These are all, I think, poetic facets of the most important journey. And the Sufi mystic poet Rumi speaks finally of the destination itself, our last human right by right of being human, our final privilege and potential. It is a field of bliss beyond activity or thought, where all distinctions are transcended, all dialogues resolved, all ideas complete. And then remains, however fleeting, bliss in being present, happiness in being together, delight in being. I don't know if some people achieve the ability to always abide there in that paradise, but my experience tells me that to be there even a short while from time to time is immensely renewing and empowering, and that this is the home dwelling to which we can learn to return when we want or need. It is our dwelling in possibility, which is always possible. It is in our physics. 2,500 years ago, Buddha told his disciples, follow the Eightfold Path in order to end suffering and find bliss, and work out that salvation for yourself with that Eightfold Path. One master said the 8 steps could be reduced to 3. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. "500 years later, I should say, Jesus gave his disciples 2 steps. One, spread the good news that all persons and peoples are filled with the creative life power we call grace. And 2, spread the good news that fulfilling your life depends only on how gracious you are with your grace. Put Buddha's and Jesus' teachings together and it's simple enough. Pay attention to your grace. Pay attention to your gratitude. Pay attention to your graciousness. The teachers say that if we can learn that, we will turn every possibility into paradise. And to learn that, I'd say, is why we are a congregation. May we all continue to journey together and visit the destination often. I hope to see you there. And in the meantime, I'll be thinking of you with endless thanks. Starting now. Thank you.
To keep our congregation thriving, let's remember our connection to one another and not forget our offerings to support those connections. As you listen to some beautiful music, to make a contribution, you can click on the I in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You can also donate either via the Give Plus app or our website under the Giving tab, or by sending a check to the church office. Thank you. Thank you all for being here together this morning. I hope as many of you as possible will be staying in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom at 11:30 for a wonderful celebration of Jack's ministry. We'll take a quick break after the service, then gather first in the sanctuary for a brief program and some fun brought to you by some of our most creative members. Then we'll go to Gilmore Hall for great food and great company. Not to be missed. Now, as we close our service, with a breath, we pass the light of our chalice to each other as we say together, "We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world."
Some closing words adapted from W.E.B. Du Bois' The Souls of Black Folk, and from Teresa of Avila's The Interior Castle. We gathered freely today from numerous spaces of homes and hearts. Though a veil of force and chaos sometimes seems to imprison our eternal good, but childhood's fresh, young voice still wells up in us, swelling with song, instinct with life, singing to the sunshine, singing for the sun. Let us cheer the weary traveler, cheer the weary traveler. Let us cheer the weary traveler along the heavenly way. So let us slip away. Ask no permission from the authorities. Move forward, move inward. Follow your breath to that still place where starts the invisible path that brings us home. Farewell, safe home, and shalom.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride that trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails.